Welcome back to my channel. I am the Crochet Hermit. In this video, we are making a easy crochet halter top. I am making a size medium, but I will show you how to alter the pattern to fit any size that you desire. Before we get started, in order to achieve this top, you must have some basic crochet skills. This is not a top that you will be able to make without ever crocheting before. I will have a video linked in the description on how to crochet if you need it. If you are following your own measurements, you need to know your neck width, the width of your top, and the length of your top as well. We are going to begin with the neck portion. I'm doing a width of 8 inches. Grab your yarn, make a slip knot, and chain 28 chains. This is roughly around 8 inches. If your neck width is different than mine, chain as many chains you need to reach your measurements. When you are done chaining, you are going to place a half double crochet inside the second chain from your hook. Yarn over, insert your hook into the second chain from the hook. Yarn over, pull up a loop. You are going to have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and this is how you work a half double crochet. Continue working half double crochets for the rest of this row. You should have a total of 27 half double crochets when you are finished with row 1. Don't forget, I do have a video linked at the bottom in the description on how to crochet if you need it. This is what it looks like when row 1 is complete. And now we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. For row 2, we are going to work another row of half double crochets. This right here is your first stitch. Place your half double crochet inside your very first stitch, and then continue working half double crochets for the rest of row 2. This is what it looks like when row 2 is finished. And now we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. Keep in mind we are chaining 1 in between all of our rows. Up next is the width of the top. I'm doing a measurement of 20 inches. If you are following your own measurements, this measures your rib cage. Keep in mind that the yarn does stretch when you are working with a corset back. For row 3, we are going to increase. So that means inside this very first stitch, we are going to place 2 half double crochets. This is my first half double crochet inside that very first stitch. And now we're going to place another half double crochet inside that same stitch. And this is how you increase. As you see, 2 half double crochets inside that one stitch. Inside the next stitch, we are not increasing, so we are going to place 1 half double crochet. Continue working regular half double crochets, no increases, into every single stitch until you reach your very last stitch, and I will meet you back at the last stitch. I have made it to my very last stitch. Inside this last stitch, we are going to increase. Now remember, an increase is 2 stitches inside one stitch. So we are going to be placing 2 half double crochets inside this very last stitch to create an increase. This is my first half double crochet inside this last stitch. And now I'm going to place 1 more half double crochet inside that same stitch to create my increase. And now we're going to chain 1, and this is what it looks like when row 3 is complete. You should have a total of 29 stitches. Turn your work. For row 4, we are going to repeat row 3. That means we are going to increase inside the first stitch and the last stitch of this row. So remember, to increase mean we are placing 2 stitches inside one stitch. So let's place 2 half double crochets inside that very first stitch. I have just increased inside this very first stitch. And now you are going to continue to place half double crochets inside each stitch. Do not increase until you reach your very last stitch, and I will meet you back at the last stitch. If you are a beginner and you struggle with identifying your first and last stitch, I would highly recommend getting a stitch marker and placing it inside your very first stitch and your last stitch as well, and that will help you identify both stitches. I have made it to my very last stitch. Inside this last stitch, we are going to increase. Now remember, an increase is 2 stitches inside one stitch. So we are going to be placing 2 half double crochets inside this very last stitch to create an increase. This is my first half double crochet inside this last stitch. And now I'm going to place 1 more half double crochet inside that same stitch. Don't forget we chain 1 in between all our rows. And remember, if you are a beginner, grab your stitch marker and place it into your very last stitch. This helps you identify your first and last stitch. turn your work. For row 5, we are going to repeat row 3. That means we are going to increase inside the first stitch in the last stitch of this row. So remember, to increase mean we are placing 2 stitches inside 1 stitch. So let's place 2 half double crochets inside that very first stitch. If you are a beginner, do not forget to mark your very first stitch in this row. And now you are going to continue to place half double crochets inside each stitch. Do not increase until you reach your very last stitch, and I will meet you back at the last stitch. I have made it to my very last stitch. Inside this last stitch, we are going to increase. Now remember, an increase is 2 stitches inside 1 stitch. So we are going to be placing 2 half double crochets inside this very last stitch to create an increase. If you are a beginner, do not forget to mark your very last stitch. Always remember that we will be chaining 1 in between all of our rows. This is what it looks like when row 5 is complete. You should have a total of 33 stitches. As you could see, with us increasing inside the first stitch and also increasing inside the last stitch, our top is beginning to get wider. You are going to continue to repeat row 3, which is increasing inside the first stitch and increasing inside the last stitch until you reach row 23. That is roughly around 20 inches, and that is the measurement of my rib cage. If you are following your own measurements, you are going to continue to increase inside the first and last stitch until you have your desired width of your top. If you need to rewatch row 3, it will be timestamped at the bottom in the description. This is what it looks like when all 23 of my rows are complete. We are going to begin working on the length of our top. I'm doing a measurement of 11 inches. For row 24, we are no longer increasing. So inside this very first stitch, we are going to place 1 half double crochet. We are going to chain 1 and skip that second stitch. And we're going to insert our hook into the third stitch in this row and place a half double crochet. We have just created a hole for our strap to go in. And now you're going to continue working half double crochets all the way until you have 2 stitches left, and I will meet you back at the last 2 stitches. I have made it to my last 2 stitches, and now I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to skip this next stitch. This stitch right here, I'm going to skip. And inside that very last stitch, I'm going to place a half double crochet. As you see, we have just created another hole for our strap. Now you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Row 25 is going to be a regular row of half double crochets. We will not chain or skip any stitches. So inside this very first stitch, we are going to place a half double crochet. Inside that next stitch, that is a chain from our previous row, we're going to place a half double crochet inside of that stitch. We are going to continue working half double crochets for the rest of this row. We will not be chaining or skipping any stitches, just regular half double crochets for the rest of this row. I have made it to my last couple of stitches. Don't forget this chain from your previous row. You're just going to place a half double crochet inside of it. And I'm going to place a half double crochet inside my last stitch. And as always, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. For row 26, we are going to work a regular row of half double crochets. We are going to place 1 half double crochet inside each stitch for the rest of this row. We are not increasing or chaining or skipping any stitches. We are just working a regular row of half double crochets. You are going to continue to repeat row 26, which is regular rows of half double crochet, until you reach row 32. This is roughly around 11 inches and it's the full length of my top. If you are following your own measurements, you are going to continue to work regular rows of half double crochets until you reach your desired length for your top. Row 26 is going to be time stamped at the bottom if you need to rewatch it. I have finished all 32 of my rows. This is what it looks like for me. And now I'm going to turn my work. For our very last row, we are going to be working 2 holes for our straps. So for row 33, we are going to place a half double crochet inside that very first stitch. And then we are going to chain 1, skip that second stitch, and we are going to place a half double crochet inside that third stitch to create our hole. We are going to continue working half double crochets for the rest of this row until we have 2 stitches left, and I will meet you back at them last 2 stitches. I've made it to my last 2 stitches. I'm going to chain 1 and skip that next stitch. And then I'm going to place a half double crochet inside that very last stitch. Chain 1. Since this is our last row, we are going to grab our scissors and cut the end of our yarn. Make sure to leave a long enough tail so that we can weave in our yarn. Pull your yarn through and tug on it so you can seal your work. Now flip your top upside down. Make sure that that string is in the upper right hand corner. Now we're going to work on our strap. Grab your yarn, make a slip knot. I'm going to chain 150 chains. You want these chains to be long enough to go over your shoulders and cross over your back. If you want your strap to be longer, please chain more chains. I have finished chaining my 150 chains, and now I'm going to insert my hook inside this very first stitch in this upper right hand corner. And we will be working a single crochet. Make sure you pull all of your yarn to the back. Insert your hook. Grab your working yarn. This extra yarn right here, we're going to crochet over it. Now we're going to work our single crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop. You should have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. And this is how you single crochet. We are going to continue working single crochets for the rest of this row. Don't forget we are crocheting over that extra yarn. I have made it to my very last stitch, and this is what it looks like. And now we're going to chain the same amount of chains that we chain on the other side for this side. So I'm going to chain an additional 150 chains. The chains have to match, that way the straps are even. I have finished chaining my 150 chains, and we are done with our strap. So now we're going to grab our scissors and cut the end of our yarn. We're going to pull our hook through and tug on that string to seal this project. Now we're going to weave in our loose yarn. Grab your needle and insert your yarn. We are going to weave in our loose string. The goal is to hide your needle, your yarn in between these stitches. There's really no right or wrong way to do this as long as you're hiding it. So you could pretty much insert your needle wherever you like. I'm going to insert my needle right here, and I'm going to push it through and pull it through that stitch. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to insert it in between stitches, all the way down in between the stitches until my yarn is no longer visible. Make sure you weave in any of your other loose strings, and I will finish weaving in the rest of my yarn off camera. I finished weaving in my yarn, and I want to show you that it's not visible. You can't even see that I had an extra string. And the final thing to do to complete our project is putting our straps inside those 2 holes that we created. So go ahead and identify where your holes are. Your first hole is where we stop increasing, and your second hole is your last row. Grab your strap in your upper left hand corner, and we're going to put it inside the bottom right hand hole. So grab your hook. You're going to insert your hook inside your first hole, this hole right here. And now I'm going to pull the string through with my hook. I'm going to pull it through that hole. We're going to repeat the same thing on the other side with the opposite string. Now we are going to cross our 2 strings over, forming the letter X. And we're going to pull them through the last holes. Your top is now complete, and I'm going to tie a cute little bow at the bottom. You have just finished your easy crochet halter top. Tag me in your finished projects, I'd love to see them, and thank you so much for watching.